Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here, and thanks for joining me for day number 13 of my 31 Days of Horror. This is where I'm watching and reviewing 31 different horror movies over 31 days, all through the month of October. If you've been keeping up with the series, I know you got the gist of it by now. But today we're venturing into the found footage slash anthology territory with 2021's VHS 94. So this is the VHS entry that rebooted the franchise. Originally, you had the trilogy that made up VHS 1, 2, and Viral. And then I remember they had like this long as hiatus, like a handful of years without a VHS movie. And then in 2021, obviously, they revived it with VHS 94. And it's really cool to have like an annual horror franchise. Like for me growing up, it was Saw, and then it switched over to Paranormal Activity. And now VHS is the franchise that's kind of taken the reins, and I really dig that. I think like the VHS franchise is like one where you can sort of almost keep it going forever. It's hard to run out of ideas, and at the moment they're doing concepts, which I think is like a really cool idea. Like they rebooted it with VHS 94, which are all the installments and segments in this one take place around the year 1994, and they were doing years for a while. They did 85, 99. They may have did another one, I can't remember. Last year, though, they switched it up to like themes. So they did VHS Beyond last year, which is like sci-fi and alien themed. Earlier this month, I haven't checked it out yet, but they did VHS Halloween, so I'm guessing all Halloween related stories and segments. So I really like what they're doing there. I remember when this one first came out, the hype around it was crazy and everyone was talking about it, praising it. And I think it was just because, for a long time we didn't have a VHS installment, and this one surprised a lot of people. I feel like the hype died off kind of quick though, due to the fact that, a year later another VHS movie came out and then another one, and opinions on those movies sort of differed and bounced up and down and sort of took the shine off this one. But the first time I checked this out, I went into it thinking, okay, rebooting it, I like two of the three original VHS films, so let's see what the hype is about this one. And it like really fucking floored me, like it genuinely blew me away. So I was super excited to check out this one again for my 31 days. For those who don't know, the VHS franchise, including this one, is a horror anthology, which is all of the stories are made up by found footage segments, normally directed by different people and whatever. And this movie's gimmick is that it's based around the year 1994. And we'll go into the individual stories as I go into my review and we break them down individually. But yeah, let's get into my thoughts of VHS 94 from the year 2021. Kicking it off with the first genuine story in this movie, and I say genuine because there is a wraparound, but we'll get around to that towards the back of the review. But the first genuine story in VHS 94 is titled Storm Drain. We follow a local news reporter and her cameraman who are doing a story on this local small town urban legend of Ratman. And while doing this story, it leads them deeper and deeper into the sewers where some crazy shit starts to go down. And that's pretty much the concept for the first story. This is kind of the fan favorite staple story of this VHS movie. I feel like every VHS installment has one segment that like everyone remembers the movie for. And I feel like Storm Drain is the segment for VHS 94. Like everyone goes, is VHS 94 the one with Ratman? And it's like, yes, and it definitely deserves the hype because this story is so fucking cool. It's my favourite segment in here as well. There was actually a clip from this segment that I remember going viral. You probably would have seen it on social somewhere. It's like this small part where she stumbles upon this like homeless guy who's all dirty and creepy looking in the sewers, and she like leans over to him and she's like, are you Ratman? And it still gives me goosebumps thinking back on that part. It's so fucking cool. But I really loved the realistic, local, small town news feel that is captured in this segment. Like it literally feels like you're watching like, one of those back low end channels on like a local news station. Like it feels really cool. Capturing the feel of like a local small town urban legend as well. They do a really good job of that. Like you have like interviews with like townspeople being like, yeah, I saw the Ratman, and they have like that really shit like sketch drawing that someone has seen of the Ratman, and it's funny. I really dug that as well. It's hard to go into these stories with too much detail because they're so short and you don't want to give things away, but I really enjoyed the designs of certain things that show up in this story, and the designs are very unique for sure as well. As always, I don't think there's ever been a VHS movie or even a VHS story with bad gore or like not much gore. Like they're always very gory and the effects are great. So just take that into consideration throughout this whole review. The gore is great. Just a fantastic opening segment. As I said, it's the one that really sticks for me. In VHS 94, it's my favourite segment, so yeah, Storm Drain, definitely a highlight to open this movie with. Getting into the second segment, which is titled The Empty Wake. In this one, a young woman is left to work a shift alone at a funeral parlour during a service, but the catch is that pure request of somebody, the service has to be recorded, and also nobody seems to be showing up. Obviously, that's not the entire story. Some shit doesn't seem to be exactly what it seems, and towards the end, there's some twists and reveals and things going on, but that's pretty much the basic setup to this one, and majority of the story, shit doesn't really happen, but it's carried extremely well by a really good atmosphere and vibe. So in this story, like I said, not many people are showing up to this service, but it's kind of explained away because there's a big storm outside. We're indoors in this story, and you actually don't get to see much of the storm besides like maybe a flash of lightning through the curtains or vague rain noises in the background, but it does a very good job of making the storm feel impactful and immersive through majority of this story. Like, as I said, you don't see much of the storm for like 80-90% of this segment, but you can feel how cold it is and how dreary it is outside, and like I said, that's all in the atmosphere. The segment is like oddly calm in tone, for majority of it, but like it's got like this unsettling tension that lingers in the background because you just know shit ain't right, and there's like small creepy things going on, but it's never too impactful until right at the end of the segment, and that's where I fucking love it. And shit goes down, and there's like this really cool reveal. Honestly, this story isn't anything flashy, or it's not really game changing or anything like that, but the simple things that it's putting forward, it does really, really well. I kind of feel like this is the underappreciated segment in this one. Like I said, it's quite simple, and a lot of people will overlook it for that fact, but I think it does a very, very good job. Underrated one. I really enjoy the second segment titled The Empty Wake. Moving into the third segment, which is titled The Subject. This is pretty much the token foreign segment for this VHS movie. Like every VHS installment has like one story filmed in a different country or done in a different language, and this time I think it's Indonesia if I remember correctly, but either way, in this story we have a mad scientist who is experimenting by making human machine creations, like he's kidnapping people and making these monsters. It's really grimy, nasty, impactful with its body horror. Like this is literally the shit of nightmares. Like I swear I've had nightmares about this shit happening, and I think that's really cool. It evolves to a point where like a police raid gets involved, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's about the gist of this story, and I won't spoil any more. First of all, the thing that made me laugh about this segment, and I didn't remember it from the first time watching this movie, but this is like the clearest, most HD looking tape of all time, especially considering, again, the gimmick behind this movie is that all of it's meant to be taking place in 1994. This is the fucking clearest VHS tape I've ever seen in my fucking life. But moving on from that, it's also got the idea of having the found footage point of view literally being someone's point of view, like the camera, spoiler alert, is in someone's eye. And the last time that we saw that in a VHS movie, I'm pretty sure was VHS.II. If I remember, it was a very early VHS movie, I'm pretty sure part 2. But with that being said, it can get pretty nauseous at times. I know a lot of people, that's the thing that puts them off found footage movies, just the handheld shaky cam can make them a little bit sick, but I think it's even more impactful here just because it's literally someone's point of view and there's a lot of natural head movements and everything like that, so be warned, this one probably could make you the most nauseous. But highlights of this one, its nastiness, its body horror, the whole mad scientist narrative, definitely the most action out of any of the segments in this movie as well. There's just a lot that this segment really does have going for it that works as well. When the police raid, they do something to the scientist that doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of reality and like real police protocol, but I mean that's the least of your problems when you've got a story about a guy making machine human hybrids and you're talking about the reality of police protocol, so not much of a problem there, just a minor nitpick and whatever. I think it does the correct choice to hold back on revealing majority of the creations until late in this segment. Like, for the first half, I reckon you just sort of see one full experiment and then, glimpses at a couple of other ones. But saving majority of the creation's big reveals till later on, I just find that to be more impactful. The first time I saw this segment, the first time watching this movie, it like blew me away. It didn't quite hit on the same level this time around. I think previous times it hit a little bit more, but still solid overall. The subject is still a very consistent story in this film. Into the final true segment of this story, titled Terror. In this one, a gang of dudes in this compound doing this army-like training, and I use the term army-like very loosely here, documenting their progress on taking down their enemies with this secret weapon. And I'll leave the description of the segment there. This has always been my lowest ranked true segment of the movie, and I keep saying true segment because, again, there's a wraparound and I'll get into that later, but of the true segments, this still might be my lowest ranked. But with that being said, it also grew on me a lot. The first time I saw this movie, I didn't really care for it, but now I at least have an appreciation for it. So even though it still might be my least favourite, like, I care for it more now. It's definitely the most comedic segment, but the humour in this one doesn't always land for me. The humour I do get from this one is the fact that these guys are just normal, average, kind of, honestly, below average guys. Like, it just feels like a bunch of drunks and fatties and, like, drug addicts, just normal fucking people that have stumbled upon this power, and they're like, yeah, we should do something about this. Let's, like, start an army, and, like, it's ridiculous. It's just like a gang of guys who ain't shit but carry themselves like they are. I find the humour in that. Shows them training, but again, like I said before, the training ain't shit. They're pretending it's army-like, but for example, like, they're doing this montage where they're training and it's like running through tyres and they're all shit at it, and there's like crawling under barbed wire, but the barbed wire is like 2 meters above them, so like, what are they actually doing? They're clearly just not like the sharpest tools in the shed. And when shit eventually does backfire in this story, it just goes to show how actually unprepared they are for when shit does go down. And I found that to be the best part of it, how amateur they are, and how in over their heads they truly are when, they had this secret weapon. And I'm not going to go into spoilers of reveals and what the secret weapon is and everything, but when shit goes down, it's alright, it's nothing special. Like I said, this story is one that I've grown to appreciate, but still not my favourite. So like I kept bringing up, I'm about to get into the wraparound now, but I'll also sort of sum up my overall thoughts of this movie and give it a score out of 10 now. But starting with the wraparound, like I said, and I guess for those who don't know what a wraparound is, it's very common in an anthology movie to have a wraparound, which is kind of this story that merges all of the segments together and sort of gives it a flow and, makes it just feel a little bit more smooth and whatever, instead of jumping from story to story to story. So for example, in this one, we have a SWAT team or something like that doing a raid on this building where there's been a lot of casualties and dead bodies and whatever, and they go inside and there's a lot of cool visuals and like dead bodies and weird shit going on, and all this weird shit seems to be happening because of people watching these tapes, and the SWAT team check out the tapes, and then that leads us into our segment, our story, and whatever. The wraparound for me in VHS 94 really is the lowest point of this movie. It just doesn't really seem to be doing anything new or impactful. I swear to God, like, literally every VHS movie has something to do with a raid at some point, and I feel like most of it is the wraparound. I think there's been like at least 4 VHS movies where the wraparound has been based around a raid, and sometimes the stories themselves are based around around a raid. Like, for example, the last VHS movie that I saw was VHS Beyond, and like the opening segment with that bird alien thing, that's a raid. So I'm just sort of a bit over the whole raid thing, and it's just kind of like, oh fuck, another raid story, but whatever. It just sort of seems to be there's a raid and then blank, and fill in the blank with whatever, and unfortunately the blank in this one is just nothing really special besides a few visuals and cool effects. But like I said, the effects are consistently good through all the segments and all VHS movies, so there's not really much going on in the wraparound. It's my least favourite part. It's given a title, it's called Holy Hull, but it's not really doing too much for me. But getting into my overall thoughts of VHS 94, I'm sure this review's gone on for long enough just because of breaking down all these segments. Overall, a great reboot to continue the VHS franchise, and it clearly did a good job to reignite the franchise, because we've had like another 5 installments or something like that since this movie. So, as I said, I really dig that they're pretty much coming out annually. Every Halloween, you can just kind of expect a new VHS movie coming out. And regardless of, again, if the stories are consistently good, there's always one that jumps out at you and you're like, yes, like that's something I can really get behind. I don't know how specifically this movie relates to the year 1994, other than all the stories taking place in 1994, and maybe that's enough for some people that it just takes place during a year, and it's like, oh, that's enough consistency. But I just kind of like it to relate more to the idea. Like, I know it's kind of hard to do it with a year, but they did it really well with VHS 99, because it related to changing over into a whole new, what's the word for it, but like changing over to the 2000s. And I think 85 did another really good job of it as well, because it was kind of like newer technology to have a VHS camcorder around the house and whatever. So years can do it really well. VHS Viral, as bad as that movie was, they kind of did it okay, because they brought it into like everyone has a phone now kind of thing. Beyond did a good job of it. All the stories had like this sci-fi kind of spin on it. Besides one that I guess didn't get the fucking memo. But yeah, not an issue. But like, yeah, I just wish the stories had a little bit more relating to the year 1994. And it's not that bad, especially when the stories in this one are consistently pretty strong. I feel like the only thing with the flow of the stories is that they do get weaker as they go. Like, my favourite story is the opening, my least favourite is the closing, other than the wraparound. But overall, like, it's one of the more consistent VHS stories. The gore, the effects, the visuals, as I said, they always deliver in the VHS movies. There's even, like, these small segments of like fake commercials sprinkled throughout, and I think that's like a really cool thing for like directors who have like these cool niche ideas to throw in there. So I think that's cool as well. I'm keen for VHS Halloween, as I said, came out earlier this month, just haven't checked it out yet. This review's gone on for long enough. I'm going to give VHS 1994, or just 94, an 8 out of 10. It's definitely up there with, like, it's in my top 3 VHS movies now. I think along with the first 2. But yeah, thank you for joining me for this one. If you've seen VHS Halloween, let me know your thoughts on it, and if I should get around to it immediately, or maybe just wait till later in the year. But thank you for joining me for this review, and I'll see you tomorrow for day number 14. Peace.